Okay, I think I'm recording now. This is my first test run. You can see I have Corel Paintshop Pro 17. We have the Manage tab, which I never use. We have the Adjust tab, which I never use. I basically use the Edit tab. When I want to open a photo, I go over here to the little tab here, Control O for open. I just use this to open a file, and it automatically takes me to my pictures. Uh, so we'll just open up something. Let's see here. Doesn't really matter, just something that I've done before. One of Bonnie's challenges would be fine. Uh, Here's one I did this month. And you see you can drag it with the mouse back and forth. You can see here it's at 100%. If you use the scroll, have a scroller on your mouse, you can scroll it up and down, which I do if I'm going to open several, and I can make it smaller and move it over. Over here, this is to open a new window, and you get to select the size. You can customize the size or pick over here from one of the preset sizes. So we'll just open a 600 width by 400 height one. I leave the defaults for the most part: resolution 100, raster background, or roster, however they say it. And I typically go with, I always go with a transparent background. So there we have a new image. We're not going to go over very much about things you can do here just yet. Having these open does show you all of this over here to the left. This is much the same, I believe, in 18, pan and zoom. I don't use that very much. I do use this one though. When it's on the X, you can on the little square, what do you call it, mover tool, you can, as you can see, if you hold your left mouse button down, you can move things around. If you made a mistake and you have not let go, you simply go up here to undo, and it takes it back to the original. This pick tool puts the square around it. Can you see that there is this here? It puts a square around it. I could actually resize with this. See how the arrow changes from the corner there? I could resize this and put it in the middle. Okay, that is with the pick tool. Now this pick tool, it will vary from being a square around it to something else depending on what you have down here in this perspective or correction, or straighten. I get confused with this sometimes. I've been doing Paintshop Pro for over 10 years. I still get confused, so if you're new and you're confused, that can continue. Okay, this one here is your selection button. What is a selection? Click on this one here and you look up here, you got selection type, rectangle, mode, replace. See, rectangle, square, rounded, circle. And you can just click on any of these. I've got it on the ellipse, and if I draw down, you see it makes a little ellipse. There you go. Now what could you do with this? All that will come later. I just want you to look at the different tools here. Dropper tool. This simply allows you, over here you have colors. It allows you to click in your image in here and add it over here. Now you see I have this one closed. This is the button that closes, and foreground stroke properties here. I can shut that off and just use the background and fill properties. You can see though where I clicked up here, over here, I right clicked and it gives the foreground color. If I go over here and I left That was a left click actually. Gave me the pink. Right, left. I don't know my right from my left apparently. If I right click, if you look over here, you see it went to white. Go down here, see it goes to a grayish color. Now right click again, let's do a different color. Right click, there we go to a green, see? Left click, there it goes to a pink. So that's what the dropper tool is about. The crop tool. This is a nice little feature here. You can take any part of an image and crop it and just capture a small part of the image. As you can see, I'm holding down the mouse button, the left mouse button, and you can move it anywhere. It also gives you the pixel dimensions up here. So if I wanted to crop something to say be 100 by 100, I could just do 100 and then tab, and it'll take me right over and do 100 again. Now it automatically made my square 100 by 100. Once I have this square, if I wanted to crop it, there's a little check up here, and if you hold your mouse button over it, you see it says apply. So I click apply, and there I have a little bitty image. Well, I decide that is not what I want. Here is my undo button. Undo is your friend. See how if I click undo it keeps going back? You can set in your settings how many undos you can do. I think I have like 500 or 600 or 1,000 or something. Below the crop tool is the perspective tool. We're not going to touch that yet. Red eye tool, that has to do with red eyes and cameras. Your clone brush is kind of a neat little brush. You will use it in some early lessons. When you click on it, it actually, if you know the definition of clone, it means the same, I think. Let me see, go back up here to the move tool and see if I can get this back fairly straight. There we go. So your clone tool, when you click on it, you got a size of your brush, hardness step, all these things you will learn about. Opacity, I think probably most of you know that means whether you see it or not. 100% opacity means you see all of it. If you lowered it down, and you can see the little circles below here show it gets dimmer and dimmer and dimmer. You will learn more about this with time too. So let's make a little bit bigger thing here, and you have to right click, and as you see it puts a little X up there. See that little X? Now it has copied that, and wherever I click it's going to paste what I just copied. I can even go over here to the new image. Remember I right click to copy. Now I'm going to left click and paste it, and there it is. And also, if you'll notice, look to the picture to the left, you'll see that circle moving around. Wherever I left click again, it's going to paste more. So I'm literally cloning part of the image over here to the left to this blank on the right. Now as I go out of bounds, you see if you look at that left image, you can see that X moving up and down. When I start going out of bounds, it simply, see, there's nothing to paste there. I have to have that X in the picture to clone it. If I go out, that X, see that X there? See it on the left? If I go out of bounds, it pastes nothing. I have to have the X in there. Okay, so there's your clone brush. Let's go down to here is your paint brushes. You have two of them, your air brush and your paint brush. You'll learn more about that. We'll click on the paintbrush. You see up here you have a size. There you go, the size. Paintbrush. 266 kind of big. We generally work a lot smaller than there. Paint's going to pick up these colors over here. You're going to paint with those. I'll go over here to this one. There's green. Hardness, step, density, thickness. Let me show you about density just real quick. Here, let's take it down to 31. I'm going to undo. Now, 31. Can you see how it starts to be not quite as dense. Let's take it down even more. Let's make it 18. Look at that. See? And now that was with my right button held down, which picks up the foreground. My left button held down picks up the background. So I'll undo a couple of times. So there's density. I'll take it down to 8. Now you're starting to see even more holes in it. And remember that opacity button here? Let's take it down to 30. 31's fine. Oh, look how light it is. See? See here? A little pink on top of it. So this gives you an idea of opacity. Your brush. Now, your airbrush is going to do things a little bit differently. We'll back up a couple of steps, and if I can find my cursor. There it is. Back up a couple of steps. Oops, got to get on this one. Okay, I'm still on the airbrush. I'm only size 1, so let's take it up to 40. Opacity, we'll leave it full to begin with. Density and opacity is full. Just a straight line down. Straight line down. Take the opacity down, take the density down. Holding down the left button, holding down the left button. Now, I left the density a little bit more. With the airbrush, it spreads out a little bit more. So these are things, you don't have to remember all of this right now. This is just kind of I want you to be aware that there are these tools over here. The next one is the smudge brush, which is part of, when you click down, lighten, darken, dodge, burn, smudge, push, soften, sharpen. All of these do something. I use the smudge brush a lot. It is just what it says. It smudges. You know, if I go over here and get down here and blank and push up, you can see it smudges it. If I start right here in the middle, it pulls it down, and I can make several passes at pulling it down. The opacity and the density will determine how much. If I do 100% density, 100% opacity, and start pulling, you see it's kind of bringing the whole thing with it. So all these things interact and work together. Next is your eraser tool. Background eraser. I'm not going to get into that right now. Just basically know that you have an eraser tool, and with your eraser tool you have size, hardness, step, density. You can actually, you want to erase something but you don't want to erase all of it, you can lower your density down on this erase so that when you come across here to erase, you see how it didn't erase every bit of it? That was due to the density button. You can also adjust the opacity of it. You can lower it way down. So let's do lower opacity. See there? Lower the opacity and density. It was a lot lighter on the erase. This here is your flood fill tool and color changer. We're not going to go there. We're just going to, some basics here. Flood fill. I want to make another layer. Down at the bottom, new layer. I want to make a new raster layer. Layers is one of the greatest things about Paintshop Pro. What I do on this layer is not going to affect this layer, and I can move this layer up and down. I can manually, by holding the left mouse button, move it up and down, or I can go to layers and go down here to arrange and go move down. You just have to be on the layer, and you see it's dark blue. It shows I'm on that layer. But I'm going to pull it back up here just to show you a flood fill. This is the pink. If you remember, if I right click, I will fill with this color. If I left click, I will fill with this color. Okay, no, let me take it back down. I'm going to right click. So it should fill with pink, and I did it without removing this to show you something. If you don't eliminate the top picture, You see how it kind of filled around it? If you look at the layer properties over here, it filled around it. So I'm going to undo this, and I want it to fill it completely, so I'm going to take this eye here, I'm going to close it, and you see it says visibility toggle. Eye closed, it's not visible. Eye open, it's visible. Close it, make sure I'm on this layer, and I'm going to right click, and there's all of my pink. Now when I open this back up, I have that pink background. Okay, I'm going to undo a couple of steps. 1, 2. I left that eye closed, but now I'm going to do my right click fill. Excuse me, my left click fill. I swear I don't know my right from my left. Once again, open it back up, and there you have it. Okay, so we're getting covering a lot of ground here. Your next is your picture tube file. I have a lot of picture tubes, a ton of them. Okay, that's all of them, but you see I have all these folders that I have tubes in it. We'll go over that later, but that's your next button on the side here. And basically when you select a picture tube, we'll select anything here, this one. It has a size, a step, a placement, scale. If it's 100, it's whatever it was made as. Okay. Oh, okay. This particular one changes whether if you hold down the left mouse button and keep clicking, it changes. I can back out of every one of this simply using the undo button. But I'm going to hold one. There's a moon. Next we get a thing here. Now what about the scale button? Let's take it down. Say I just want a little bitty cloud. 36. Just see what it is. Because I can always hit what? The undo button. Oh look, it's a little bitty cloud. A little bitty sun. A little bitty star. Well, you know, there's that moon. But that's really a little too little. So let's take it back up. 65. Oh, okay, that's better. But see, all I have to do is undo. If I make a mistake, undo is your friend. Now the text tool is next. When you select the text tool, over here on your right, these are the colors that will be used for your text. This will be on the outside of the text. This will be the inside of the text. So the background is the inside of what you write. The foreground is the outside. I'm going to give you an idea. I have a ton of fonts. Most people that do graphics are really into fonts. They like fonts. So they have large collections of fonts. I just want to kind of give you a real quick idea about using the foreground and background. Let's go down here and get a fairly large font. Wide Latin size. You can play with this. You'll learn about sizes. You can also, if you look here, it goes up to 72, but as long as it's highlighted, I can type in a figure. There's 60. So let's make something 60 here. Okay, I'm going to go back here, and I'm just going to type my name. Vikki. Okay. Now, you can see the green is on the outside and the pink is on the inside. I have not gone over here and applied changes. What I am going to do to show you what you can do is I'm going to highlight this by holding down the left button. I've highlighted all of it. Now I'm going to change this over here. When you click on this, you get the opportunity to select different colors. The darker you go, it's going to take you to black. When you go lighter, you start getting more of a spectrum of colors. And your current color that you're selecting is here, and it will show you what you had previously. So let me go to a real light blue and click OK. And you see it changed. Because I had all of it highlighted, it changed. Well, let's change this too. Blue and yellow. Let's make it a yellow. This is, previous here. There it is. Okay. And now all I have to do to get, I've selected all of this, is just click at the end of it, left click, now I have everything there. Now if I want to apply this, I'm going to check this button here. Another thing that plays into this, and I'm going to go back and highlight it all again, is stroke width. When it's talking about stroke width, it's this color here. Most of the time this is set at 1. I'm not sure why I had it set at 3, but I did. Also, before you click apply, you either want to create this as floating, a vector, or a selection. A lot of people like to create it as a vector. I typically create it floating. You will learn about this. We're going to do floating right now, and you see how much smaller that blue is because I changed it to a stroke width of 1 instead of 3. Okay, now if I click action over here, apply changes, you see there's my name, and it has around it what you will see this term many times, marching ants. We call this the marching ants is around it. You also see down here that there is the little T with the plus for making another text. Or if you come up here and you get that cross and pick it up, you can move it places. As long as you're holding down, you can move it. And when you let go, there's the marching ants again. So there's an example of the text tool. If, say you didn't like this once you click the apply, there again you can go to your undo button and take it all back out. You can take it out to the ants here. You cannot take it back to where before you hit apply though. So, but you can go ahead and get rid of it, or if it's there and you decide you don't like it. And if you look over here, you see there's the floating text right above this blank screen. You can actually hit the delete button on your keyboard, and that will take care of it too. Your next one is your preset shapes tools. You have all of these, symmetric shapes, ellipse, rectangle. When you click on this, click on the come up here, it says presets, and you'll see something up here. There again, I have a ton. It says category all. I have a ton of preset shapes. You're going to learn about preset shapes, but you don't need anything to know any more now than there's this over here and it says preset shapes. Okay? Basically, whatever you select, let me find something with color. Here's a bow by Praken. When you select it, you can retain style. You want basically for any type. Preset shapes are always vectors. You want to create them as vectors. They stay a lot sharper. If you select retain style, and I'm just holding down my left button and pulling this out. Okay, there it is. A pretty colored bow. I'm going to undo, and I'm going to take the check out of retain style. I didn't have retained style, so it picked up the colors over here. And it also went up here and put it as a width of 6. So with vector preset shapes, if you click on retain style, it will be just like you see it here. You know, be just like you see it. It'll be black. It'll have, whatever you have here. Can do this one to give you an example to a flower. That's not checked. Pull out the flower and I get those colors. If I check retain style, I get what's over here the way it was created. The next one is your pen tool. This is a vector tool. It has many different applications, from the edit mode to the draw lines and polygons to, I think this is a little too much right now. We won't get into that. The warp brush, you will touch on this pretty early on in your lessons. The warp brush has settings up here: push, expand, contract, right twirl, left twirl, Noise. Now you can click on any of these playing around to just see what they do, and you can change your size. I'm going to leave it the same. Here's noise. The current layer must convert to raster, so you can't apply warp settings to vector. See, this is a vector image. So they're just warning you, and I leave this prompt me to take action, prompt me before taking these actions. I suggest you leave it also. Noise. Oh, look at there. That's what noise does. Okay. Strength step, noise 1. I wonder what happens if I make it noise 59. It doesn't seem to make that much different. I don't know what lock parameters and these other ones mean, to tell you the truth, so I'm not sure. Iron out. I'm not sure what that does. Maybe you'll learn about that from somebody that knows more than I do. Left twirl. Basically, if you just hold down the left key button, you see it's twirling left. Hold down the left key button, you're going to see it twirl right. Push. That's easy enough, and you see an arrow there. It's going to tell you what it's going to do. So if you push, you can also pull. See? And I can pull it in a lot of different directions. The warp brush is kind of fun. You'll find numerous applications for the warp brush over time as you learn to use Paintshop Pro. The warp brush can be a lot of fun. If I wanted to go to something else, like to the oil brush, it's going to let me know before I do anything that I have to apply that. The following changes before you can proceed with your oil brush. The warp must do a final apply. No, let's cancel. Okay. Let's go back to the warp brush, and you could have said OK there, but there's a here apply. Okay, so I just applied the warp brush to that. Now if I go to the oil brush, it's going to just let me start painting. Oh, how ugly. Seems we've created more layers here too, and we still have this one up here. Look at there. And we could move that down so it's underneath all of that. So that's kind of a brief overview of just your stuff over here, your tools, blank image, opening an image somewhere in your folders. We'll go over this here in a few minutes. Let's see. One other thing you need. I'm going down here and opening up my File Explorer. Documents. In my Documents folder, I have Corel Paintshop Pro. Under it, I have 17 and 16 because I have 16 also. I also have 12 and 10 and others, but just showing those. And it has all of these folders here. I don't really use these folders from the Documents Corel Paintshop Pro, so I'm going to go back and show you what I do use. I have plugin folders in my documents here, and I have my PSP files, which has all of those. Let me see if I can make them a list. There you go. That has all of those that you just saw back in Documents Corel Paintshop Pro 17. There's those files, Documents, my PSP files. Where is it again? My PSP files, and there they are. I have a ton of things in these. We tend to accumulate things over time, and we're great to share too, so we will share with you when you need things. The plugins folder, you can make different folders for different plugins. I have, as you can see, I have 6 plugin folders, and every one of them has a ton of plugins in it. I know you might not have a clue what plugins are now, but I'm just wanting you to see that you create a plugins folder in your documents file. Now that I have shown you that, and if you have Windows 10 or Windows 7, you've got pictures. You're going to have to decide how you want to create folders in your pictures here. I have something for this year, but I also have my old computer was named Mildred, so I put Mildred Picks Old, and as you can see, I have a lot of stuff in here. I've been doing this long enough that I have a folder called Signature Work with another ton of folders back when I used to do SIG tags occasionally. So you'll have to decide how to set up your folders. I'm going to minimize this and show you one more thing before we stop for now. File, Preferences. With me so far? General Program Preferences, File Format Preferences. Basically, these can be left the same. File locations is critical. You have to tell PSP where to look for your brushes, your bump maps, your cache, all these things. Your picture tubes, your preset shapes. You have to tell them where to look. Plugins. See this here? Plugins. Here is how I tell them. If you look over here, you'll see that I am telling Paintshop Pro to enable plugins and allow the use of external Adobe compatible plugins. Limit load plugin files to those with the 8B extension only, because that's what works in Paintshop Pro. Allow the file format plugins to request pre-filtering, and then I point it to places. This particle shop is part of the 64-bit. Forget that. Program files, I tell it to look in the Paintshop Pro 7 plugins program files, because Paintshop Pro 17, Paintshop Pro 18, depending on what you got, they may have given you some plugins. And then I point it to all of my plugin folders. Documents plugins, document plugins 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, plugins painter. You have to point it there. If you want to add, you hit the add button, and then it's going to take you somewhere, and you're going to have to go. If you have know that you created your plugin folders over here in your documents, you would select, that here, select it, okay, and there it is. Okay, now that's already in here up here, so I'm going to remove this, but I wanted you just to see what you need to do. Get out of here where I can, okay, 6, remove, because it's already there. Use subfolders, enable. You will need to do this for every one of these brushes. Here we go. I have brush files in my PSP file brushes, Ron's Winter Brush. I have brush files in Paintshop Pro 17 Corel 1. I have them in Ron's, this is where I have all of my brush folders. Your bump maps. It's my PSP files bump maps, but you have to add these. Every one of these you need to add where Paintshop Pro needs to look for displacement maps and textures, where it needs to look for environments. My PSP files is under my documents, so basically all of these are in my PSP files: textures, swatches, style lines, selections, scripts trusted. You'll learn about scripts later, templates, so forth. So this is very important, and after you add these, which takes time to do, and click OK, you will need to restart your program. They will not show up until after you add them and after you restart. Okay, that's it for now. Let's see if I can figure out how to shut this off.